Hey guys, this is Marcus Stewart, and welcome to Game Chat, where I'm going to be talking about either a video game or a video game related event. It's been a little while since I've done a non-Carving Gaming Rushmore's video game podcast, but I figure now would be as good a time as any, given the topic of today's show, which is the recent IGN plagiarism saga, fiasco, controversy, that whole messy, just blah, just that's what I think of when I kind of hear it as, oh my god. In case you're not aware of what I'm talking about, last week, Dead Cells new game released, and IGN ran a review that was written by a Mr. Filip. I think I'm going to mispronounce his last name, but he probably doesn't deserve to have his last name pronounced correctly, but I'm going to go with Miucin? Miucin? M-I-U-C-I-N, I think it's like Miucin X, but without the X. Though I guess now he's an ex-writer. But yeah, we'll go with Filip Miucin, wrote a Dead Cells review that was outed for being plagiarized by a small YouTuber named, I think it was Boomstick Gaming, who accused that writer of plagiarizing his Dead Cells review and had side-by-side comparisons, because Filip not only wrote a review, but I believe he also had a video review accompanying it, and there were glaring similarities, as in word-for-word similarities between the two, and, you know, this prompted IGN to launch an investigation into the review, and then after a few hours, they deemed it plagiarized work, and Mr. Miucin was let go from the website not long after. And yeah, it's a mess that it has been the mess that keeps on giving, because in the days since, Mr. Miucin posted a video challenging particularly Kotaku to find more examples of his work that was plagiarized, because he said that the Dead Cells review was not an intentional copy-paste job, and he challenged Kotaku, and by extension the internet, saying like, yeah, you know, I have not seen the video, but I imagine it went something like, yeah, I bet you can't, bet you won't find me, but you won't, I got nothing to hide. And you know, when you challenge the internet rarely fails to deliver, because a ton of other articles written both for IGN and prior to his time at IGN, or in other work, because I believe he was like a YouTuber or something before he got hired, were found to be plagiarized, ranging from outlets like Polygon and message boards like NeoGAF. And the craziest one for me is that even one of his IGN articles was plagiarized from another IGN staff writer. So that means he plagiarized his own coworker, which is insane. Like, the guy next to you, I mean, I don't know if he's like physically next to the person that he plagiarized, but in, you know, figuratively speaking, like in my mind, I'm picturing Mr. Miucin peeking over his shoulder like the cheating kid in class, like, because I believe it was an Octopath Traveler piece that he plagiarized, and he's like peeking over his coworker's shoulder like, hey, yo, what'd you get? What'd you get for that? What'd you get for Octopath? Did you get C? Let me get that. Show me your paper. Like, that's insane. Why would you do that? And just the I don't know if it's equal part balls or stupidity, or just purely habitual, because he clearly has a history of doing this, and I guess it just carried over. Though, to think that you could get away with it at an outlet that gets millions of views is pretty dumb, and has been proven as such. But man, just watching these dominoes fall the last few days for me has just been like, I've had to increase the pitch of my dams every time a new thing breaks, because it started low. We're like, Dead Cells review accused of plagiarism. I'm like, damn. And then Dead Cells review confirmed to be plagiarism. I'm like, damn. And then the writer that wrote the review has been let go. Like, damn. And then writer also has other plagiarism examples. He has plagiarized other people's work, and then damn. And then, oh, apparently his LinkedIn profile has also been plagiarized. Like, damn. And it's like, now I'm waiting for at this point, I'm waiting for a report saying that his life has been plagiarized. Like, he's not actually who he says he is, but that he modeled his life off of another person. Like, he ripped it wholesale like that. Maybe, because honestly, the point that it's gotten to almost feels like parody. like it feels like a story I would make up to tell young journalism students about the dangers of plagiarism and trying to be as over the top with how bad it could get as possible to really hammer home, like, hey, you don't want to do this. You should really not copy someone else's work. Be original. But it's real. So, you know what? I'm going to assume that Mr. Miucin is not who he says he is. He is who is Mr. Miucin? Is he real life or is he fantasy? I'm going to plagiarize Queen just to talk about him. Do that. That's a good idea. But yeah, like, I mean, my feelings on this aren't really much different from any other writer that knows anything. Is that's awful, and kudos to IGN, 'cause I think they've handled it and continue to handle it very well. They've spent the last week and are still, at least to my knowledge, I think they're still going through all of his work and having to basically scrub it and see what they can keep and what has to be thrown away. I know they've already discarded several of his articles and reviews. It sucks for the other IGN staff writers that are great at their jobs and do honest work, because they've kind of had to put up with a lot of the trolls that already dislike IGN and kind of have been using this as fuel for their fire of like, see, this is what we were talking about. This is why IGN is the worst. And I don't work for IGN. I've never written for IGN, so I have no stake in the company to defend them. But I know a few people personally that have written for them and follow some others, and it's not fair that they're kind of having to take the brunt of this guy's stupidity. And for those that have said like, well, it's their fault for allowing this to happen in the first place, and to that I have two counterpoints. One from myself, and one that I've someone online mentioned, like in a comment, that I thought was really, really a good point to make. See, I didn't plagiarize that guy's point because I cited him. See, that's what you do. You cite the person that you're gonna borrow their quote from. But for my personal point, plagiarism is really hard to catch. If you don't know if someone's stolen work unless you just happen to have read or were familiar with the work that the person is plagiarizing from, and you catch it as you're editing, which is pretty rare. But other than that, you don't know. Like, there's no gaming equivalent of a Turnitin.com. If you're not familiar with that, it was a website for school and college. It may or may not still be around. I don't know. I've been out of school for a long time. But it was this website where you would drop in your assignments, usually like long written work, and it would scan for plagiarism. And I remember when I was in high school, when we were told about this, everyone thought that it was BS. Like, there's no way that it would know. And then a guy in my history class got busted for it. So, and then of course that was like, oh, okay. So there's nothing like that, to my knowledge, that video game outlets use to try to catch plagiarism before it can spread its nasty tendrils to their website. So it's hard. It's harder than you think, And the other point that this person, I don't know who it was, I just kind of saw it as I was just looking at comments to, I've been following this primarily through Kotaku and Jason Schreier's reporting, who is I'm a fan of and has been doing a great job reporting this. So any off chance that you're listening to this, Mr. Schreier, thumbs up, dude. Nice work. Someone had a great point in the comment section saying that plagiarism is such a taboo in journalism that honestly a lot of outlets, gaming or otherwise, don't really actively look for it, because when you hire somebody to write a thing, you're putting a degree of trust, a large degree in trust in them to do their job right. And plagiarism is such a obvious cardinal sin. Like, that's probably the first thing you learn when you become a writer in anything, just journalism or just writing. You just, hey, don't steal other people's work. It's such a, it's such a basic thing that you almost shouldn't have to look for it, which I know it kind of sounds like a bit of an excuse, but you just don't, you wouldn't expect someone to do it, really. You really don't. You give everyone the benefit of the doubt. And especially, again, at the scale, like, if you're going to get work for the biggest outlet on the planet, the idea of plagiarizing that blatantly as this guy did and expecting to get away with it when millions of eyes are on it, like, sooner or later someone's going to pick up on it, and they did. So it's such a ridiculous scenario that I would have never in a million years dreamed would play out, and it has. So that's, it's just something you wouldn't expect. And I don't know, I thought that person brought up a good point when they said that. Shout out to you, anonymous commentator. I can speak. So yeah, this is insane. I'm still wrapping around the idea of why would you plagiarize a review of all things? Because a review is just an opinion. From what I can tell and what other people have said, that apparently Filip did play Dead Cells, and by all accounts, Dead Cells is an amazing game. I haven't had a chance to play it myself, but I can't wait to get to it. And if the game's that good, like, why do you need to steal someone else's thoughts to talk about? Like, just, when you write a review, just, if you like it, just say you like it. Or if you dislike it, just say you dislike it. But why steal an opinion? It's not like a history report where you're just kind of regurgitating facts and you're like, well, I don't feel like researching, so I'm going to just steal this other guy's work. But I don't get it. I really don't. And maybe I guess it's good that I don't get it. And the other last annoying thing is that it's for as someone that has friends that have written for IGN and also have like writers there that I don't personally know but follow. It's annoying that for people trying to break into that outlet and not being able to get a break for whatever reason, to have this guy come in, and because I think he's only been there a few months. I think he got hired last fall. I think it was October, if I remember correctly. So he hasn't even been there a year. For him to land this dream job, basically, and to blow it to such a degree, and basically during his time there be lazy, is frustrating and annoying for, like I said, like the people that I know that are trying to get into that, either that exact spot or just similar like big staff positions that do awesome work and more importantly do honest work. So it's annoying that that seat was taken for as long as it has, but hey, it's open now, so somebody that knows what they're doing, that's awesome, can have it. And if nothing else, if there's one silver lining to get from all of this, is that we now have a lifetime example of what not to do when you plagiarize, or when not what to do when you plagiarize, because that would be terrible. What not to do when you plagiarize would be to not get caught. What to not plagiarize in general. Oh God, I almost started advocating plagiarism, and that was going to get real ugly. I did not mean that. Don't plagiarize. Don't do it. Don't steal other people's work. Be yourself. Stick to your own thoughts. Write your own thing. You will get caught sooner or later, especially if you're going to write for a thing that everybody looks at. So just keep that in mind. And yeah, that's all I have to say about that. But thanks for listening. And if you'd like to hear me talk about other video game related stuff, I have a podcast called Carving Gaming Rushmores, where me and two guests sit down and we debate the top 4 examples of a video game topic. It's a great debate/list show, and I have a new episode coming up in the coming days. I also have a podcast called Call It in the Ring for fans of professional wrestling, where every week I review WWE Monday Night Raw and SmackDown Live, as well as the pay-per-views, and just do like a recap and discussion. I will be talking about SummerSlam this Sunday. So yeah, I'd appreciate it if you're into those two things, video game debates or wrestling, to give those shows a shot, see if you like them. And thanks for listening, guys. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe, the holy trinity of social media. And if you'd like to follow me on Twitter, I am at MarcusStewart7. That is the number 7. And until next time, adios.